अमरीकी हुकूमत में एक अहम ओहदे पर फायज दिलावर सैयद की लिटिल पाकिस्तान में पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी से एक अहम मुलाकात। बाइडेन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में स्मॉल बिजनेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के डिप्टी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर दिलावर सैयद ने कहा है कि वफाकी हुकूमत स्मॉल बिजनेस को भरपूर सपोर्ट करना चाहती है। कोरोना वबा के बाद 11 मिलियन छोटे कारोबार को बहाल होने में मदद की। न्यूयॉर्क सिटी के शोबा स्मॉल बिजनेस सर्विसेज ने लिटिल पाकिस्तान बुकलन में कारोबारी हजरात के साथ एक मुलाकात का एहतमाम किया। इस मुलाकात में सदर बाइडेन के पहले पाकिस्तानी डिप्टी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर दिलावर सैयद ने पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी से एक अहम मुलाकात की। इस मुलाकात में कमिश्नर दानिश ग्रॉस भी शामिल थीं।
Commissioner Danish Gross has taken over the city's department, so let me pass it to Commissioner Gross.
Thank you so much, Horace, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for pulling this together so quickly. We're really pleased to be able to have this sit down today. I'm your neighbor. I live not far from here in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I'm in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, and as Commissioner for the city's Department of Small Business Services, I work to make sure the city's businesses have access to the tools that you need to thrive. So since the start of this mayoral administration, we've connected businesses to $265 million worth of affordable, responsible capital. We've saved those businesses more than $36 million by helping cut the fines and fees. So anytime you are interacting with the regulatory state, we want to be sure that you do that effectively, so you're not incurring costs. And we're also working on the policy side to reduce small business enforcement and increase small business support. We've sent our mobile outreach unit. Have you seen our big RV, Mobi, out to the Maki Masjid? We've organized multiple workshops and sponsored the Little Pakistan street banners you see right here on Coney Island Avenue through some of our grants for community-based organizations. So our table is there. Mehedi is operating the table today, and there's flyers for all of our free business programming. And maybe that's not important for you. You know us well enough that you're at the table today, but there's many businesses in the community that when they have a need, they don't know that city government and the federal government is actually here for them. There's a rich ecosystem of support, and we don't want them to feel alone. So take a stack and share it in the community so they also know that they can reach out to us, and please be a conduit to connect them with us. We don't want to hear that a business struggled and we couldn't help them because they didn't know and we didn't know. So we are joined here today by an extremely special guest, Deputy Administrator of the United States Small Business Administration. So that's the federal government, Dilawar Syed. He's the highest ranking Pakistani American and Muslim American in Washington, D.C. He comes to this work after being the State Department's top commercial diplomat, advancing the interests of American companies, doing business abroad, and he has rich experiences also in the private sector, leading software and AI companies. His visit to communities in Brooklyn today really shows just how seriously the Biden-Harris administration takes the small business community and how seriously Deputy Administrator Dilawar Syed is about reaching immigrant and historically underserved communities. I think he's been in the Deep South recently in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, visiting those communities as well. So without further ado, I'd like to invite him to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, and thank you, Horace, and thank you all for taking the time on a Friday afternoon, beating traffic to come here, so I'm honored. I also feel like this is my community, and it feels frankly humbling to be here. Let me say a couple of things. One, I want to share with you what the administration's economic priorities have been as we almost are close to completing the 4-year in our first term, and what the impact of small businesses. And then, of course, I want to hear from you, because many of you are the heartbeat of economy, both in Brooklyn, but also in this diaspora community. When you look at the investments that the President and Vice President has made in our economy over the last 4 years, I can say this pretty safely. These are genuinely historic investments. Just the New York numbers are mind-boggling. $140 billion worth of private sector investment coming in to the state, in part because of incentives, direct investments that we have made as part of our administration. Another $30 billion to build public infrastructure, made possible by the bipartisan influence of all. You were pointing me to some streets that are being revamped and bridges that are being rebuilt after almost a century, right? Made possible by this bipartisan bill. Our perspective at the SBA which is part of the federal cabinet and we're responsible for small businesses, is that when you have this level of investment that goes into the economy, it also lifts small businesses. You don't have to expand to serve more customers. On the tech side, more startups starts to emerge to support, future industries, and that's exactly what we're seeing that happening all over the country. In the state of New York, 1 million founders have started a business in the last 4 years. It's a record, 1 million. And now, I'm somebody who's been an entrepreneur. I know firsthand starting a business is only first step, right? You have to have resources, access to capital, access to support, advice, to be able to build a business, make it a viable business, and that's where SBA comes in. We have our local team here. Peter is joined here. He's part of our local team in New York City, and here to serve you. So part of the reason that I came here to Little Pakistan, as earlier in other parts of the borough, is to make sure our local diaspora businesses are connected with SBA's local office. If you need support, access to funding, you know who to talk to. If you need access to federal government contracts, if you have a business that will serve federal government contracting opportunities, we can explore that with you. And there are other resources, of course, working with the state government that we can open up for you. A couple of things I will tell you. I come from private sector. Two things that surprised me. One, just how much resource there is in government. At federal, and I may even say perhaps at local and state level. Second surprise, how little, unfortunately, our communities are aware. And many times our communities come from parts of the world where government was not for you. So this idea that there is a federal cabinet agency whose job it is to support small businesses, it is something many of you, if you didn't grow up in this country, wouldn't know. And we want to make sure that awareness gap is closed. That's why we show up, point resources. For too long, quite frankly, federal government resources have not gone into underserved communities. They have never even thought about asking government for support. Frankly, in our case, as SBA says, it took COVID. It took a pandemic, once-in-a-century phenomena for small businesses all over the country, including minority communities, to understand and appreciate that here's an SBA that can help you. During that time, by the way, I think hopefully we were able to support many of you. We served 11 million new small businesses. Almost every second or third restaurant all over the country, including in this part of the country, received SBA support and funding. And so we want to build on that relationship, make sure that as you look to expand your business, you know there's SBA loans that you could explore if there's a need for funding, but also for support and advice through our local office. So with that, let me close, and finally just let me say one more time, it is an incredible pride to be a Pakistani American in the cabinet. Having spent time in working with the administration, what I can tell you is representation matters. And it has been a priority for this administration, for President Biden and Vice President Harris, to make sure federal government looks like America. And by the way, you can see this row here and see government at all levels. But that requires intentionality. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to care. You actually want to see everybody. And we are a very, very diverse country. And mashallah, we enjoy that diversity, right? And you make intentional efforts to make sure at all levels, whether it's a cabinet, whether it's state, local, that we have people who look like us. And the reason why it matters is because I bring my lived experiences as an immigrant, as a Pakistani American, as an entrepreneur to my job. I've been on this side of the table. So when I'm sitting and trying to help open up resources or opportunities, awareness, that experience, is guiding me every single day. Not just for this community, but frankly for other minority communities. We spent a lot of time, we were talking earlier, with that community. We have a lot of work to do to close the gap that exists in so many minority communities. With that, thank you again for being here. Looking forward to the dialogue with you all, and appreciate your organizing.
More than pleasure.
इन्होंने कहा कि मुल्की मईशत में न्यूयॉर्क का बहुत कलीदी किरदार है। बाइडन इंतज़ामिया ने न्यूयॉर्क के प्राइवेट सेक्टर में 140 अरब डॉलर की सरमायाकारी की, जिससे 1 मिलियन छोटे कारोबार शुरू हुए। इस मुलाकात में APP के चेयरमैन डॉक्टर एजाज अहमद, ग्रुप ऑफ फार्मेसीज़ के और अपना ब्रुकलिन डे केयर अपना कम्युनिटी सेंटर के चेयरमैन जनाब परवेज सिद्दीकी, AP पैक के सदर अली राशिद, कोपो के सरबराह मोहम्मद रिजवी, SMW की एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर बाज़ा रूही, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर परवेज चौधरी, टैक्स एंड अकाउंटेंट सर्विसेज के ताज अकबर खान, बिजनेस ओनर नवाज खान, ब्रुकलिन एमर्ज के सरबराह और दीगर ने मुलाकात की। मुलाकात के दौरान स्मॉल बिजनेस के लिए कर्जों की फराहमी और नए कारोबार शुरू करने के हवाले से मुख्तलिफ तजावीज़ और मशवरे ज़ेर गौर रहे। कोपो के सरबराह ने इस पे अपना इजहार ख्याल करते हुए कहा,
It was so important to see Director Dilawar Syed to come here into our community from SBA because he is our highest ranking Pakistani working with the Biden administration, and he has shown us so much guidance today, and we look forward to the future and bringing more resources to the Pakistani community.
दिलावर सैयद ने भी एक सवाल का जवाब देते हुए कहा,
I would recommend, this is why I had my local district team here. You should spend time with them, discuss.
How we can spend the time with them?
Well,
We don't know how to reach them.
well, they were in the round table, so I'll connect with Peter right now. He will give you his card. As I mentioned, we're going to bring SBA resource fair in this community, walk through all the resources, tell them what you've gone through, and if it makes sense, how we can support you. But for now, we'll make sure that you get to meet Peter before.
Thank you.